Hello and welcome to Spectrum Television News at 9. I am Uyai Aniakan coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at some of the major stories. President Tinubu entices foreign investors with juicy business environment in Nigeria. House of Representatives Committee queries Lottery Trust Fund over extra budgetary spending. Plus, French Senate to weigh compensation for victims of anti-gay laws. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Good evening and thanks for joining us. First in the news tonight, President Bola Tinubu again in Berlin, Germany, assured international investors that Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa, is a secure destination for their investments. President Tinubu gave the reassurance today while speaking as a participant in a panel discussion on fostering local value chains and investments in Africa at the 4th G20 Investment Summit. President Tinubu highlighted Nigeria's stable democracy since 1999 and ongoing economic reforms, making a compelling case for it as a prime business destination. While acknowledging challenges, he, however, gave an assurance of a commitment to providing a conducive environment for investment. The president also emphasized opportunities in public sectors such as energy, digitalization, telecommunications, and agriculture. Meanwhile, President Tinubu has described the death of former Chief of Army Staff Major General Chris Ali, who served between 1993 to 1994, as a great loss. The president, in a statement issued by his special advisor, Ajirin Gilali, sympathized with the Ali family and the Nigerian army, saying the deceased served the country faithfully. Reports say Major General Ali held other important positions in the Nigerian army, such as Director of Military Intelligence, DMI, before his elevation to Chief of Army Staff. In another development, former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo has insisted that Western liberal democracy has not worked for Africa. Obasanjo stated this while delivering a keynote address at a high-level consultation on rethinking Western liberal democracy for Africa in Abeokuta, Ogun State. The former president said liberal democracy does not take into account the continent's history, culture, and tradition. He explained that the Western style of democracy failed in Africa because it does not consider the views of the majority of the people. Obasanjo advocated for what he termed Afro-democracy in place of Western liberal democracy. According to him, African countries have no business in its definition and design. Away from that, the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, FIRO, has said that the modern integrated cassava processing plant in Ibara, Oke, will create 1,000 jobs through cassava value chain. The Director General Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Dr. Jumai Adamu Tutuwa, said this today at the inauguration of the plant at Ibara, Oke, in Ifedori local government area of Ondo State. Adamu Tutuwa said that the project was in tandem with the resolve of President Bola Tinubu to enhance food security and take the nation to greater economic heights. She said that the building of the plant was made possible by the technology developed with locally available raw materials. She also said that it would enhance productivity for job creation and wealth generation in the state. Adamu Tutuwa said that the plant required close to 10 tons of cassava roots on a daily basis and needs over 20 farmers to supply an average of half ton of 500 kilograms. Meanwhile, the federal government has resolved the passport production crisis in the United States. The country's three missions in the U.S. are said to have resumed passport services. A public notice posted in the Embassy of Nigeria, Washington, D.C., states that all passport applicants scheduled earlier for biometric capturing are expected to come to the mission today. The public notice said that all biometric capturing for applicants scheduled from Monday, November 13 to Thursday 16th have been rescheduled. According to the notice, the capturing have now been refixed from Monday the 20th to Wednesday 22nd November 2023. From the Green Chambers, the National Lottery Trust Fund has been placed on a status inquiry over the spending of internally generated revenue (IGR) without budgetary approval. This status inquiry was ordered today by the House of Representatives during a hearing on the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework (MTEF). The management team of the National Lottery Trust Fund, led by its Executive Secretary, Chief Executive Officer of the fund, Bello Maigari, appeared before the committee to defend their revenue estimate. Reports say the document submitted by Maigari revealed that the agency has been spending all its IGR without the approval at the National Assembly. Ever now to the judiciary, where the Supreme Court has fixed March 13, 2024 to hear a suit filed in 2008 by the Attorney General of Lagos State against the federal government in respect of who controls and regulates the gaming and lottery sector. Ekiti State was joined as co-plaintiff in the suit following an order of the court made on October 6, 2020. The attorneys general of 34 other states were joined as defendants by the Supreme Court on November 15, 2022. A seven-member panel led by Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun fixed the date for the day's proceedings. The plaintiffs want the apex courts to declare that the lottery is not one of the 68 items for which the National Assembly has the exclusive verse to make laws under Part 1 of the second schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended. They are also seeking a declaration that the National Assembly lacks the powers to legally and constitutionally make any law to regulate and control the operation of lottery in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has dismissed an appeal filed by the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) against the election of Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State. The appellate court, in a unanimous judgment, resolved all the three issues formulated for determination against Uba and PDP. Justice Onyekachi Ajao Tisi, who delivered the lead judgment, dismissed the allegation of non-qualification leveled by Uba against the Deputy Governor Samuel Ode. Justice Otisi held that the PDP gubernatorial candidate failed to establish forgery of INEC form EC9 by Ode beyond reasonable doubt as required by law. In the meantime, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN Justice Olukayode Ariwola, will swear in 58 new senior advocates of Nigeria's sons on Monday, November the 27th, 2023, at the main courtroom of the Supreme Court as part of the programs lined up for the 2023-2024 legal year of the court. In line with the age-long tradition, the CJN will, during the special court session, deliver a State of the Judiciary address that would highlight the performance of the Apex Court and the Nigerian judiciary in general in the 2022-2023 legal year. The Director of Press and Information of the Apex Court, Dr. Akande Festus, made this known in a press statement. According to him, other leading stakeholders in the justice sector will present speeches bordering on the state of the justice sector of the country at the occasion. Reports say 114 applications were earlier received by the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee (LPPC) for the award of the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2023. Out of the number, 101 are advocates while 13 are academics. Elsewhere, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State has described as a temporary setback the verdict of an appeal court which sacked him as governor of the state. In a statement through his Director of Press and Public Affairs, Gyang Bire, the governor said the temporary setback will not deter him from repositioning the state on the path of unity, peace, and progress. The governor admonished citizens of the state and supporters of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to remain calm and assured them that as God remains on the throne, his mandate will be preserved and protected. The governor added that he has instructed his legal team to file an appeal at the Supreme Court. In a separate development, the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, Matthias Schmel, has advocated for ongoing assistance to address the humanitarian needs in northeastern Nigeria. Schmel made the remarks in response to inquiries from journalists during a press conference on the humanitarian situation in Nigeria. In order to address humanitarian needs, hasten the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, and counter violent extremism, the humanitarian coordinator emphasized the alarming humanitarian situation in northeastern Nigeria and the significance of increased international help and collaborations. He said the United Nations organization would shortly unveil its Humanitarian Response Plan 2024, which will prioritize helping vulnerable girls and women while being realistic about funding trends. The financial crime now, where the Economic Financial Crimes Commission has disclosed it will charge personnel of the Nigerian Air Force released on administrative bail by its Kaduna Zonal Command to court upon completion of its ongoing investigation. The anti-graft agency made this known today in a release signed by its head of media and publicity, Dele Oyewale, and posted on its website. Recall that earlier the NAV personnel were granted administrative bail last Friday. The EFCC had disclosed that officers of the NAV were culpable of security breach. It noted that the NAV officers were arrested over an attempt to rescue suspected fraudsters arrested by the agency. In education, the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union (COESU) has lauded President Bola Tinubu for discarding the idea of tertiary institutions, including colleges of education, remitting 40% of their internally generated revenue to the national treasury, saying it shows he has a listening ear. The president of COESU, Smart Olubeko, made the observation in a statement today in Abuja, where he enjoined the federal government to also review the centralization of payroll administrative through the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System (IPPIS). Olubeko lamented that the policy undermines the statutory functions of the governing councils and breaches the establishment of integrity of the tertiary education sector in general and the College of Education system in particular. According to him, IPPIS has become a means of defrauding COESU members, as there are thousands of cases of short payment, outright non-payment, unlawful delay, and or withholding of third-party deductions. Back here in the home front, the Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoino has restated his commitment to ensuring a peaceful and united states despite deliberate attempts by warmongers to create crises and division. He warned those fanning the embers of disunity to desist forthwith and called on traditional rulers to cooperate with government to institute peace and unity as expected of their revered positions. These were contained in the remark of the Akwa Ibom State Governor while addressing congregants at Global Evangelical and Missionary Church of All Nations, Oron, during the Thanksgiving service in honor of the paramount ruler of Udonko and Chairman Supreme Council of Akwa Ibom Traditional Rulers, His Royal Majesty Odidem Basi Etemedet JP. The governor urged the traditional fathers not to allow politicians meddle in their affairs or hijack the institution, stressing that the traditional institution is a revered one with men of wisdom and integrity. He enjoined the royal fathers to uphold their honor and use their office to maintain the peace and cohesion in the state rather than drag the image of the revered institution into disrepute by allowing themselves to be used as agents of division. Governor Eno, who reiterated that his administration had no hand in the seeming discontent in the traditional institution, again stressed that he was, I beg your pardon, determined to resolve the issue as part of his efforts to harmonize all fabrics of the state, but stressed the need for the cooperation of the concerned parties. In the meantime, an endocrinologist in the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, UUTH, Dr. Ubong Morin, has disclosed that the consumption of excess sugar is not the direct cause of diabetes. Dr. Morin, who stated that people wrongly attribute high blood glucose levels to excessive sugar consumption, said obesity or overweight, which is as a result of excess calories in the body, leads to diabetes. The medical practitioner, while speaking with Spectrum Television, noted that to reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, it is more important not to consume more calories than the body needs. He added that regular exercise can also help in reducing the risk of developing diabetes.
Our body is actually built to handle sugar, whatever, irrespective of the amount that we put in us. That does not mean that it's healthy. For example, now if you carry, like maybe 20 cubes of sugar, put in water, dissolve it, and drink it, what happens as soon as you finish drinking it, within a few minutes, the body produces insulin. That insulin will take the sugar from your blood into your cells. Everything will go back to normal within a short period. The reason is because your body is producing insulin adequately. There is no issue. But that will not happen for somebody that is diabetic. So it is not true. Understand that. Understand taking a lot of sugar predisposes a major producing factor of diabetes. What usually happens is that there's an interplay between environmental factor, which is what the sugar is. Alcohol is also an environmental factor. Understand obesity is part of that factor. Even people that have a sedentary lifestyle, physical inactivity, you can sit in one position for hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. You are not really mobile. You are not exercising or active and all that. Those are environmental factors. There's a genetic component I talked about. So it is usually an interplay between that genetic component and the environmental, understand, when they come together. That is what usually results in, understand, a person coming down with insulin resistance, which is what drives and which is what eventually leads to type 2 diabetes. Phase one is to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Very important. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle will include, understand, ensuring that fruit and vegetables are part of your diet, and then go for natural carbohydrates, understand, not the processed ones. Natural carbohydrates, like usually what the one that comes contain a lot of fibers, like whole grains. You can talk about your Quaker oats, your guinea corn, understand, your maize. Cassava is more like maybe once in a while, but not really healthy. Understand? So healthy lifestyle, we cut down intake of things like red meats. Understand? Red meat is not very good. Understand? Take more of the white meat and all that. And then a lot of the seafood are also very healthy. Cut down intake of carbonated drinks, very important. Beverages and carbonated drinks, including soda water. Avoid processed foods. Things that are contained in candies also avoid, because they put a lot of salt in these things to preserve. They must say preservative, exactly. So go for the more complex carbohydrate, protein, less of unsaturated fat, like frying things, understand, is actually.
Still to come in the news. Peso set for fresh devaluation plunged over 10%. Stay tuned for details of this and more after this time out.
Christmas season is here again. Are you aware that making your business or product visible on a television space gives your brand a wider visibility and patronage? In the spirit of the season, Spectrum Television is offering a whopping 25% discount on all services. Advertise your products and services while this offer lasts from 1st December 2023 to January 31st, 2024. We are a television with a passion to take your business and services on a satisfactory lane. You do not want to miss this opportunity. For more inquiries, visit our city office at number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitinen Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or call the following numbers on your screen. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon. For premium broadcasts and entertainment, sports on the go, and news around the world, watch Spectrum TV on StarTimes DTH channel 421 and free-to-air frequency 12733. Visit our website spectrumtvlive.ng. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news stories. In Africa, the South African authorities have warned of a heat wave with higher than average maximum temperatures expected in some parts of the country this week. The Weather Service said heat wave conditions resulting in persistently high temperatures were expected in parts of Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. The authorities urged people to take precaution by avoiding exposure to sun and drinking lots of water, among other measures. Reports say the heat wave is a period of hot weather where temperatures are higher than is expected for the time of the year. Still in Africa, former Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Augustin Matata Ponyo, has withdrawn from next month's presidential election. Ponyo said he would now be back in Moise Katumbi, a businessman and former governor of the Katanga region. The former prime minister noted that he believes other opposition candidates will follow in his footsteps to withdraw in support of Katumbi. Meanwhile, President William Ruto has said that he is aiming to secure opportunities for Kenyans to find employment in Germany amid a worsening unemployment crisis in his country. He made this known shortly before departing for Europe for a G20 meeting. More than a dozen African leaders are heading to the German capital, Berlin, to seek economic opportunities, including labor export deals and increased investment in Africa's economy. Chancellor Olaf Scholz, whose recent visit to Africa have included trips to Kenya and Nigeria, has shown interest in boosting investment on the continent, especially in the critical minerals and green energy sectors. This conference, under the heading of G20 Compact with Africa, aims to strengthen economic ties between African and G20 countries. In the meantime, Russian President Vladimir Putin will take part in a virtual summit of the BRICS group of nations on Tuesday to discuss the Israel-Hamas war. The meeting will be chaired by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in the hope of drawing up a common response to the more than 6-week conflict. In addition to Russia, the BRICS group includes Brazil, India, China, and South Africa. South Africa said United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres would also take part in the virtual meeting and that it was expected to end with a joint statement. Russia has maintained historically close ties with both Israel and the Palestinians, and Putin has said Russia could play a mediating role. Meanwhile, he has criticized the West for allegedly stoking tensions in the region and Israel for its conduct in the conflict. The meeting comes days after leaders from the APEC group, which includes China and the United States, failed to agree on a joint response to the war. Elsewhere, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has opened a global food security summit in London. The conference is a joint initiative between Britain, Somalia, and the United Arab Emirates (UAE), as well as organizations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. According to reports, representatives from more than 20 countries are attending. Sunak announced a new virtual hub to link British scientists with global research into climate-resilient crops. As the summit began, the United Nations urged donors to urgently increase their aid and invest in long-term solutions to tackle what it called the root cause of hunger. On the foreign scene, United States President Joe Biden says the Palestinian Authority should ultimately govern the Gaza Strip and the West Bank following the Israel-Hamas war. Biden, in an opinion article, said as they strive for peace, Gaza and the West Bank should be reunited under a single governance Palestinian Authority, stressing that there must be no forcible displacement of Palestinians from Gaza, no reoccupation, no siege or blockade, and no reduction in territory. He used the OPED to try to answer the question of what the United States wants for Gaza once the conflict is over. Meanwhile, former U.S. First Lady Rosalynn Carter, the wife of former President Jimmy Carter, has died at the age of 96 at the couple's home in the southern state of Georgia. Carter was best known for her work post-White House as she and her husband championed human rights, democracy, and health issues around the world, all while maintaining a notably humble public image. Reports say Rosalynn had joined her husband in at-home hospice care on Friday after being diagnosed with dementia in May before her death. In the meantime, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin made an unannounced visit to Kyiv today in a high-profile push to keep money and weapons flowing to Ukraine even as U.S. and international resources are stretched by the new global risk raised by the Israel-Hamas conflict. Austin, who traveled to Kyiv by train from Poland, is scheduled to meet with senior Ukrainian officials and publicly press Ukraine's urgent military needs as it enters another tough winter of fighting. This is Austin's second trip to Kyiv, but he is making it under far different circumstances. His first visit occurred in April 2022, just 2 months after Russia's large-scale invasion. At the time, Ukraine was riding a wave of global rage at Moscow's invasion, and Austin launched an international effort that now sees 50 countries meet monthly to coordinate on what weapons, training, and other support could be pushed to Kyiv. But the conflict in Gaza could pull attention and resources from the Ukraine fight. The U.S. has worked feverishly since the October 7 attacks by Hamas on Israel and the weeks of devastating bombardment on Gaza by Israel. There has followed killing more than 10,000 civilians to keep those attacks from turning into a regional war. Elsewhere, France's Senate is in this week to debate a draft law that would allow people convicted under anti-gay laws before 1982 to receive financial compensation. Reports said thousands of people were sentenced under two French laws in force between 1942 and 1982, one determining the age of consent for same-sex relations and the other defining such relations as an aggravating factor in acts of public outrage. The sponsor of the bill to be debated on Wednesday, Senator Hussein Bourgi of the Socialist Party, said he wanted the French government to recognize the state's role in discriminating against people engaging in same-sex relations. Still on the foreign scene, Maldives' new president Mohamed Muizzu, who campaigned on altering the tiny Indian Ocean India First policy, has requested India withdraw its military from the country. Muizzu won the presidential election in September, ousting Ibrahim Soli in a runoff after promising to remove a small Indian military presence of some 75 personnel. Reports say India and China have been vying for influence in the region, with the coalition backing Muizzu considered to be leaning more toward China. Meanwhile, fighting in Myanmar between the military junta and an alliance of ethnic armed groups has intensified since last October after an unprecedented offensive in the country's north exposed the junta's struggles on the ground. Recall that the UN called for all sides to respect international law in a statement on Friday, saying that more than 70 civilians had already been killed and some 200,000 displaced by the upsurge in violence. Prosecutors with Special Counsel Jack Smith's team will urge a three-judge panel of the Washington-based appeal court to put back in place an order barring the former president from making inflammatory statements about lawyers in the case and potential witnesses. Elsewhere, rescuers in India are looking at fresh options to save 41 workers trapped in a tunnel for the past 8 days. Reports say new plans had to be conceived after work to push in metal pipes through the debris wall was halted and rescue teams were withdrawn after a cracking sound was heard from the tunnel on Friday. Officials say the plan to drill 2 parallel tunnels which could provide an escape route to the workers. The under construction tunnel in Uttarakhand caved in after a landslide. Recall that the incident took place on the morning of the 12th of November in the northern state Uttarshis district. Meanwhile, contact with the trapped men was established soon after that, and they are being provided oxygen, food, water since then. Still on the foreign scene, Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani today refused to accept the resignation of 3 cabinet ministers who stepped down over the dismissal of the parliament speaker. The Supreme Court last week said it was dismissing Speaker Mohammed al-Haboushi, an influential Sunni Muslim politician, after a lawmaker accused him of forging a document. Al-Habouchi's Tandem Party hit back by announcing that the government ministers of culture, industry and planning, all 3 members of the party, were stepping down in protest. But today, Sudanese office released a statement saying the Prime Minister has rejected the resignations of the ministers of planning, industry and culture. It said that Sudanese government was committed to a comprehensive political representation in line with the commitment to support political stability across the multi-ethnic country. Meanwhile, Argentines have elected far-right libertarian outsider Javier Milei, aged 53, as their new president. Milei won close to 56% in the decisive runoff ahead of his left-wing rival Sergio Massa with 44%. The newly elected president's victory has been welcomed by former U.S. President Donald Trump, who said Milei would make Argentina great again. but other politicians described the victory as a political earthquake. Elsewhere, Philippines National Disaster Agency has disclosed that number of people killed in a powerful quake off the southern Philippines has risen to 9. The agency warned that the toll could increase further. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council said at least 15 people were injured and more than 800 houses were damaged or destroyed. The death toll steadily rose over the weekend as searchers found more bodies buried under rubble. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Devina Oman.
Thank you, Uyai Anekan. Good evening. It is business news and I am Davina Praise Omang. In the news, Argentina currency peso set for fresh devaluation. The Argentine peso secured through parallel markets plunged over 10% to 1,000 per US dollar in late November, set to trigger a fresh devaluation for the official exchange rate by the central bank after far-right candidate Javier Milei won Argentina's presidential elections. The developments followed aggressive sell-offs for the local currency due to Milei's pledges to shut down the central bank and completely dollarize Argentina's economy. Compounding short-term volatility stemmed from the candidate's pledges to rein in the government's spending and stabilize the country's inflation. Argentine demand for hard currency was magnified by concerns over empty dollar reserves in the central bank, adding to risk in an eventual transition to the adoption of the dollar. Milei's better-than-expected performance in August primary elections had already driven the central bank to devalue its currency by 18% to a record low of 350 per US dollar. To the energy market, WTI crude futures rose more than 2% to above $77 per barrel today, while Nigeria's price benchmark Brent crude rose 2% above $82 per barrel, extending gains from the previous session as investors look ahead to an OPEC Plus meeting where the group is expected to deepen supply cuts to support oil prices. On Friday, crude prices jumped about 4% on reports that OPEC Plus is considering whether to make additional supply cuts when it meets on November 26th. Analysts also expect Saudi Arabia and Russia to roll over additional voluntary cuts to early next year. Still, oil prices remained down about 20% from September highs amid signs of robust supplies as the war risk premium generated by the Israel-Hamas conflict faded away. Latest data pointed to surging crude oil inventories in the U.S., while Russia recently lifted a ban on gasoline exports. Back in Nigeria, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has postponed the meeting of its Monetary Policy Committee, NPC, for the second time since September 2023. The Director of Corporate Communications of the Apex Bank, Issa Abdulmomin, confirmed that the NPC meeting will not be held. Since the appointment of Olayemi Cardoso as the Governor of the Central Bank, the meeting of the NPC, a monthly monetary policy decision-making body, has been shifted twice. During the last meeting, the 292nd NPC meeting held on July 24th and 25th, the bank decided to tighten the economy by raising the interest rate to 18.75% from 18.5% amid rising inflation. Meanwhile, with Nigeria's inflation soaring to 27.33% in October from 24.08% in July, the country's economy awaits the NPC's decision. Over now to the Nigerian stock market report. Today is the first trading day of the week, and a total of 358.44 million shares in 6,551 deals, corresponding to a market value of 4.357 billion naira were traded. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 39.1 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 119 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 36 gainers and 15 losers. Mercure Industries led the gainers with 9.95% share price appreciation, closing at 6 naira 30 kobo per share. Top of the losers, RT Briscoe, came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.84% at 55 kobo per share. Access Holdings recorded the highest volume of 27.6 million traded shares, followed by ICO Insurance with 21.9 million, and Universal Insurance Company 21.7 million traded shares. Well, this is all in business news, and back to Uyai Aniekan for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Devina Omang. Still to come in the news. Barcelona's Gavi set to miss rest of season with ACL injury. Stay with us for details of this and more after the break.
Christmas season is here again. Are you aware that making your business or products visible on a television space gives your brand a wider visibility and patronage? In the spirit of the season, Spectrum Television is offering a whopping 25% discount on all services. Advertise your products and services while this offer lasts from 1st December 2023 to January 31st, 2024. We are a television with a passion to take your business and services on a satisfactory lane. You do not want to miss this opportunity. For more inquiries, visit our city office at number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitinen Road, Yo Akwa Ibom State, or call the following numbers on your screen. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news stories. On our health news, the federal government has commenced a holistic approach to curb the menace of antibiotic-resistant pathogens being the cause of the greatest threat to human and animal health as well as the environment. According to the World Health Organization (WHO), 4 out of 15 priority antibiotic-resistant pathogens have been detected in Nigeria. Antimicrobial resistance (AMR) happens when antibiotics are no longer effective in the treatment of ailments that were previously addressed by antibiotics. Still in health, medical experts have asked Nigerians to disregard rumors going around about the human papillomavirus vaccine HPV, assuring that the vaccine is safe and remains the most effective way to prevent cervical cancer. The experts said Nigerians should take responsibility for their health and well-being and not allow misinformation from misinformed people to deny them access to the life-saving vaccine. The senior health professionals urged Nigerians to confront the people who are providing misinformation aggressively against the vaccine. Recall that the federal government on October 24 introduced the HPV vaccine into the routine immunization system to prevent cervical cancer among girls aged 9 to 14 years. Meanwhile, mental health experts have advised parents to teach their adolescents how to cope with challenges to avoid coming down with mental health issues when they are faced with difficult situations. The experts said they needed to develop positive skills and coping mechanism while dealing with their challenges to ensure that their mental health is not compromised. Citing the current economic hardship and stress in the country as stressors, the physicians urged parents to model good coping skills for their adolescents, advising them to seek professional help when necessary. Over now to David for latest sports stories.
Hello, good evening and welcome. In sports, Barcelona midfielder Gavi is unlikely to play again this season after the Catalan club confirmed he has torn his anterior cruciate ligament while playing for Spain on Sunday. Gavi, who is 19 years of age, has suffered an associated injury to the lateral meniscus and will undergo surgery later this week. Barca will provide a time frame on his recovery after the operation, but Gavi is expected to miss the rest of the campaign and is also a major doubt for Euro 2024 and the Olympic Games with Spain next summer. Gavi was forced off midway through the first half of Spain's 3-1 victory over Georgia after landing awkwardly when controlling the ball moments after the collision with Georgia's Luka Lochovil. Moving on, Andre Onana is hopeful of being fit for Manchester United's Premier League fixture with Everton later on Sunday. Despite suffering an injury playing for Cameroon, Onana returned to the UK on Sunday after withdrawing from the Cameroon squad. He picked up a lower back injury during a 3-0 victory over Mauritius in World Cup qualifier on Friday and will not play against Libya on Tuesday. The goalkeeper will undergo medical tests with Manchester United staff this week before a decision is made about whether he is available to face Everton. If Onana isn't past fit to face Everton, United will give debut to summer signing Alter Bayindaye. The 25-year-old arrived in a $5.4 million deal from Fenerbahce, but is yet to feature this season. Finally, Fenerbahce's bright Usai Samuel finds himself at the center of transfer talks, with Turkish club making significant decisions regarding his future. The Super League club is looking to extend the Nigerian international's contract at the Ukru Sakalolu Stadium. Since his move from Queen's Park Rangers during the 2020 and 2021 interim transfer period for £508,000, Usai Samuel has garnered praise for his performances at Fenerbahce. Meanwhile, with just 1 year remaining on his contract, Fenerbahce has deliberated on securing Usai Samuel's services for the long term. The Nigerian right-back has been a key figure for Fenerbahce this season, appearing in 18 matches and starting 17 of them, scoring twice and assisting 3 times. And that's all we have for you on sports this evening. I am Utsobe David.
Thank you, Tiber David. We're moving on to our entertainment news, where Grammy-winning Nigerian singer Ayodeji Ibrahim Balogun, also known as Wizkid, who recently announced a break from music, has revealed his next occupation. According to the Star Boss, his next occupation is to become an actor. Wizkid said he wants to become an actor because he wants to kiss women and shoot guns in movies. He revealed this via his Instagram story recently. His revelation came barely 24 hours after he was spotted with prolific Nollywood filmmaker Kunle Afolayan. Meanwhile, Wizkid has also revealed that he is considering extending his break from music. The Essence crooner, who initially announced that he would be out of the studio for 3 or 4 years, said he was now considering extending the break to 6 years. Still on entertainment news, reality TV star and singer Hazel Oyeze, Onu, popularly known as White Money, has said his latest song, Oyoyo, deserves a Grammy. According to BBNaija Season 6 winner, Oyoyo is currently the biggest song in Eastern Nigeria. The singer also revealed during the interview that he is also pushing for a career in Nollywood. Meanwhile, Nigerian superstars Rima and Burna Boy has won the 2023 BBMAs. The 2023 BBMA, Rema and Burna Boy won the maiden categories of the Best Afrobeat Song for Calm Down with Selena Gomez and Best Afrobeats Act respectively. Lastly in the news tonight, Colombian pop star Shakira has reached a deal with Spanish prosecutors to settle a tax fraud case just as her trial was about to begin. The singer, who has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, said she paid a 7.5 million euro fine. Recall that Shakira had faced tax fraud allegation for 14.5 million euro in the Barcelona court. If that's all we have for you at this time, Do well to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, Spectrum TV Live. This has been Spectrum Television News at 9. I am Uyai Aneka, and thanks for being a part of this, and to have a splendid night rest. Good night, Nigeria.